Camp is camp. It's tough, but it's for me to want to push myself. This is what I do, this is what I live for. I'm ready for battle. I feel like I'm getting stronger, and I feel by the time the fight comes, I'll be at peak performance.
One more. One more. Beautiful. Good. That's what we've got to bring him on to. Nobody can take them.
It's unbelievable how far and how wide sports can take you and the things that you get access to.
Anthony Joshua has officially started his first day of training camp for his upcoming fight with Jake Paul, now targeted for December 19th. With the fight confirmed, Joshua is wasting no time preparing, entering camp with sharp focus and the confidence of a former heavyweight champion. Jake Paul, despite rising from YouTube fame to pro boxing in a controversial way, has shown he can grab huge attention. But this time, he is facing a fully trained, world-class powerhouse with real championship experience.
Just the second leg of the training camp. I'm feeling energized, I'm feeling refreshed. So yeah, come inside, have a look what's going on. Tough training, tough lifestyle, rough and tough. But listen, how else would I want it? I love it. So what am I bringing differently? I wouldn't say a new mindset, but definitely like a new perspective. But ultimately, everything new has to lead to a win. So yeah, that's what I'm focused on right now, just winning. With training camp, it's grueling, like there's no doubt about that, but you just need to have a clear mind and be optimistic and run towards challenges every day. And that's how I'm able to get through, is just the perspective I have on what suffering looks like. There's a certain standard that one has to have if they want to achieve certain things. I am working past efforts, measures that I set out for myself. Yes, it's tough. Yes, I'm tired.
Mike Coer reported that the Anthony Joshua versus Jake Paul fight is finalized for December 2025 in Miami and will stream on Netflix as a professional heavyweight match.
Earlier that Anthony Joshua still didn't have an opponent for his next fight, but he was thinking of still fighting before the end of the year. And we've got some breaking news for you now, because we're hearing that AJ is in talks with Jake Paul over a deal for a heavyweight fight in Miami next month. Of course, the YouTuber Paul has already fought the former heavyweight champion of the world, Mike Tyson, and beaten him. And he's now in talks with Anthony Joshua with a view to the two of them fighting in Miami next
Eddie Hearn pushed back on that report. He confirmed the fight, but said it will be held under Queensberry rules, not as an exhibition. He ruled out changes like bigger gloves or shorter rounds, explaining they will use standard 10-ounce gloves, agreed rounds, and normal professional boxing regulations.
Ring Magazine, Anthony Joshua, your man, and Jake Paul are finalising a deal for a December heavyweight fight in Florida. True or false?
I mean, the gun was jumped a little bit and fired early. There have been conversations. For us, we were flirting with the idea of having this little 8-round fight this year. Not with Jake Paul, by the way, because he was fighting Gervonta Davis.
Yeah, that's no.
But we were going to go on a other card somewhere. You wouldn't have really heard of the person we were going to fight, but AJ wanted to go through the motions, wrap the hands, and just gear up to what is really in the works with Turki Al-Sheikh, which is 2 fights in 2026, and that includes Tyson Fury. That's the plan for Turki Al-Sheikh. We received a phone call from Nikisa Baldirian, from MVP, who, by the way, we've spoke to a few months before talking to us about the fight, and he said, look, would you want to fight Jake Paul? And I said, listen, I don't want to just be a publicity muppet for you, you know, telling everybody that you offered the fight to Anthony Joshua. If you're serious, we can discuss the numbers, and if there's a chance for us to run out in December and, you know, take care of this bloke and get him out of the boxing world and make several tens of millions in the process, of course, we will consider it. And that's basically where we are at now.
And do the numbers stack up?
Of course, I mean, like, you know, it's difficult to have this conversation. I think
Hearn
sometimes...
told Sky Sports they have no interest in exhibitions. If Paul wants to fight, it will be a real match at a contracted weight. Even so, Hearn warned the deal is not finished yet. He said the chances are 50-50 because many details still need to be settled.
Extremely dangerous for Jake Paul. You know, I've got the general feedback is the boxing world saying, please, AJ, go in and evaporate this young man from the boxing world so we can all get on as normal. You've got Jake Paul fans thinking bizarrely they can beat Anthony Joshua. And the most bizarre thing out of everything is that Jake Paul genuinely believes he will beat Anthony Joshua. I think that's the only reason we're going to see this fight, but I truly believe.
Hearn described Paul as bold enough to chase this fight, even though Joshua is a true heavyweight monster. He admitted both fighters will make a huge payday, but stressed the danger of matching an inexperienced Paul with a seasoned Joshua. He called it a catastrophic mismatch that could end Paul's career, either physically or professionally.
Paul Anthony Joshua 50-50 fight, what do you make of that?
Yeah, I just said in another interview, great if it is. I mean, if it is, then you've got no problem seeing it. But when AJ, I mean, decapitate's a strong word, but you know, when he renders Jake Paul unconscious like he did to Francis Ngannou, don't then say, oh well, it was Jake Paul. Do you know what I mean? I mean, when AJ beat Francis Ngannou, Ngannou just had a fight that could have gone either way with Tyson Fury. Then AJ poleaxed him and everyone just said he's just an MMA fighter. Do you know what I mean? Jake Paul's not Francis Ngannou. But as I said before, if you want to see Jake Paul exit the boxing world...
Hearn also admitted that Paul's strategy is to call out real boxers who can bring in massive paydays.
Yeah, just quickly, I watched Jake Paul at the weekend. I feel a bit dirty saying that because I'm not a fan of his, but he did say after the fight that he's sort of having DMs or he's dropping text messages to AJ. They're having a chat about a potential fight. What's your view on that, Eddie?
Well, look, he's calling out Gervonta Davis, who is a 135-pound lightweight, and he's calling out Anthony Joshua, that's a heavyweight monster. I think Jake Paul is crazy enough to fight Anthony Joshua because the money would be absolutely obscene. It's a catastrophic mismatch that people would tune in to watch because it would lead to the end of Jake Paul. Hopefully not literally, but it's that dangerous that, you know, it's a fight that I don't think should really happen, if I'm honest. I would say about Jake Paul, and I've said this in a couple of interviews today, I do think you start after giving him a margin of respect. You know, I think this guy is going through the motions, he's putting the hard spars in. He just went 10 rounds with, yes, a washed-up fighter, but a former world champion that did train for that fight. But they're very clever in terms of the opponents that they pick. They're not going to gamble unless the money's out of control. And it wouldn't surprise me if Jake Paul, wanted to move forward with an Anthony Joshua fight. Honestly, AJ's coming tonight. He's not exactly looking at Jake Paul going, oh, that's my dream opponent. No. Would he go in there and give him a hiding for, you know, a massive chunk of money?
Simon Jordan has said that even though he criticizes the idea, the Anthony Joshua versus Jake Paul fight could actually benefit boxing in some ways. He admits it will draw huge global attention, bring millions of new viewers, and create major financial opportunities. Jordan explained that boxing is also a business, and combining a former heavyweight champion with one of the biggest internet stars guarantees money, media coverage, and mainstream interest. He believes the fight will attract casual fans, spark debates, and keep the sport in the spotlight, while he still questions its competitive value. He agrees the fight could be a commercial success.
This is the entertainment business, and Anthony Joshua is an entertainer, and you can't undo the fact that he won the world heavyweight championship twice, and he fought in some great fights.
So why does he need this?
Because he's in the business of entertainment, and if an opportunity is presented to him and someone wants to say that we can monetize this to the huge levels that are potentially available, why wouldn't you? It's a walk in the park.
You see, you're not having Saturday night.
Because I know
many people wouldn't have this.
Well, I'm not having,
because this isn't a proper fight where a Saturday night is.
But I don't think this is a proper. I don't think that I would ever consider having a debate about whether Anthony Joshua versus Jake Paul is a proper fight between two bona fide champions. I think Jake Paul is someone that's creating a lot of opportunity for himself and using sport as the anchor for it. And would I watch it? No. And do I value it? No. But when I'm asked to be confronted with a fight between two legends' sons and then get involved in all of the nonsense.
Jordan also criticized the Conor Benn versus Chris Eubank Jr. fight, saying the promotion relied too much on nostalgia instead of real sporting value. He argued the matchup was being sold on their father's famous rivalry from the 1990s, rather than on the fighters' actual careers. Jordan said promoters used history to hide the fact that the fight didn't make sense, with Ben moving up in weight and Eubank Jr. cutting weight dangerously. He said this fight, like Joshua versus Paul, is a cash grab, not a serious contest, and risks the sport's integrity. Jordan questioned if such a fight should even be approved, worrying about Paul's safety and the long-term impact on Joshua's legacy.
The kind of returns that they're going to get for the level that they've operated in their careers. And that's one of my issues around the Conor Benn Eubank fight. This fight over here with Anthony Joshua, I know what this is. No one can dress this up. This is a turd that will get polished into a huge pile of money. And if you know that from the outset,
Yeah.
so I don't have any illusions about it. Neither does anybody else. Nobody thinks that this is a real fight. Nobody thought. I mean, Spencer tried his very level best, and will never try it again, to convince us that Mike Tyson versus Jake Paul.
Yeah.
Well, this is something similar, but
Yeah.
for different reasons. Anthony Joshua is still a live heavyweight, and if he hits Jake Paul's going to get hurt.
Yeah.
And some people might think that's a good thing to happen to him, to learn his lesson. But he is also now fighting. He's got a fighter's license. And the question should be along the lines of what Chris Eubank Sr. was raising. Is it right? Is this appropriate that a high-performing supreme athlete like Anthony Joshua, whose only real challenges now are probably in his mind, because physically he can operate at the highest level if he still chose to, should be stepping in against someone like Jake Paul that does not have the skill set to deal with the kind of power and expertise that Anthony Joshua has? And should boxing be sanctioning this? This is the bigger question.
Oh, that's true. That is true. Having said all that, Netflix tell us 60 million households worldwide tuned in live to see Mike Tyson take on Jake Paul. Why would Jake Paul end up fighting?
Adding more interest to the situation, boxing legend Roy Jones gave a surprising viewpoint on the Joshua versus Paul fight, focusing more on caution than excitement. He said the fight must make sense for Joshua both competitively and financially.
Change subjects just a little bit here, and Anthony Joshua, there's rumours circulating he could be fighting Jake Paul next. One, do you think it's good for boxing? And two, do you think the fight will happen?
I think it's great for boxing. I think the fight will happen. AJ is 1-0 against these guys that come in to these boxing careers late. So why not? He's a perfect guy to take him out too. He took Ngannou out. Why would he not take Jake Paul out? And for him, he'd probably make more money fighting Jake Paul than he will fight anybody else that he can fight right now. So why would he not do it? I mean, not that he needs the money right now anyway, but if he's going to do something, if he want to get a good win to put him back on the scene, that's perfect.
Dave, for Art and Spencer Oliver discussed the growing public debate about whether Anthony Joshua might fight Jake Paul. The discussion heated up after Saudi boxing leader Turki Al-Sheikh hinted he might approve the fight during a TalkSport appearance at Wembley. Al-Sheikh said Paul has verbally accepted the bout and added that he wants Joshua to destroy Paul in a one-sided mismatch, calling it a win-win test for both fighters.
Does he really want to smoke? I mean, he's got to be an idiot if he does, because Anthony Joshua, let's use this as a comparison. Francis Ngannou called Anthony Joshua out after pushing Tyson Fury the way that he did, and he looked at that and he went in there and he iced him in 2 rounds. Francis Ngannou versus Jake Paul, you got to go heavily on Francis Ngannou, haven't you? So what's going to happen to poor Jake Paul if he boxes Anthony Joshua? This Olympic.
Mike Coppinger has raised big concerns about the Joshua versus Paul fight, saying Paul seems motivated mainly by the huge payday, not the sport. Coppinger reports that negotiations are moving forward but still need broadcast deals and official approval. He stressed that Joshua is far bigger, stronger, and more experienced than anyone Paul has fought, making the matchup dangerous. He said the commercial appeal might push it forward, but it brings serious questions about Paul's safety, credibility, and the event's legitimacy.
Breaking story on Ring Magazine, Anthony Joshua and Jake Paul are finalising a deal for a heavyweight fight on Netflix in December in Miami. Sources tell the Ring Magazine's Mike Coppinger. What do you make of that?
Well, Anthony Joshua was talking about wanting warm-up fights before going into bigger fights, but look, it's prize fighting at the end of the day, and the way that Joshua will see it, and Matchroom and all the team, the fans won't like this, by the way.
I don't like it
No,
either.
I don't like it either. But the way that Joshua will see it is as a money grab. He'll see it as an easy money grab, but at this stage of his career, is it a fight he should be taking? Nah, definitely not.
Yeah, but it shouldn't be licensed.
Paul's promoter Nikiza Bidarian responded to concerns about the size difference between Paul and Joshua, saying, size-wise, we can handle it. He said Paul weighs around 110 to 215 pounds, while Joshua is closer to 252, but argued that Paul's strength and quick improvement make the fight possible. He pointed to Paul's experience facing heavyweights like Mike Tyson, and said Paul is developing quickly. Across boxing, many professionals still worry about the legitimacy, safety, and meaning of this fight. Most see the business side, but very few believe it is a fair or credible contest.
Taken, and 2 of his losses are against Alexander Usyk. Usyk weighed in at 220 pounds for those fights. Jake is not Usyk, a lot more years of experience needed to get to that level, but Jake walks around between 208 and 210, and he fought Mike Tyson at 228 pounds. So I think size-wise, we can get comfortable with it. And I think experience-wise, Jake is learning very fast and growing, and Joshua is a little long in the tooth. So it could be a very interesting matchup, and we're actively discussing it with Matchroom.
Don't put it past Jake Paul. Anthony Joshua, as much as he's a monster, he's got a weak mind, hasn't he? So Jake could end up getting into it, because Jake's got everyone eating out the palm of his hand. He's a very clever man. So
you really think he's got a chance?
Why wouldn't he have a chance? Look how confident he is. I mean, come on. Like, Anthony would have all the pressure in the world, and if Anthony didn't do him with the first few punches, he'd start doubting himself in his head, because that's what he does. But no, Anthony should win, shouldn't he? But that's...
What do you make of Tyson Fury saying that he's going to put $1 million bet on Jake winning by knockout?
Tyson to leg it, lad. He's retired about 50 times. What's he on about, mate? Just tell him to leg it, and I'd love him. If he walked in here, I'd obviously...
At one point, you were good friends.
I'm still good friends, but obviously if he walked in here, I'd act like I'm not talking about him, but then on the camera I'm talking to him. Is this not what we're on? Fair enough. Is everyone not fake, or no? We all... What are we on here? Are we all acting like we don't hate each other? Like, come on. Like, what?
You're on absolute smoke today.
Former world champion George Groves has also rejected the idea of Joshua fighting Jake Paul, seeing no real sporting purpose in it. He said Joshua deserves proper fights against real contenders, not crossover events. Groves called the matchup low risk and low value, and said Joshua should retire or wait for a mega fight with Tyson Fury, which he believes is the only fight that truly matters for Joshua's legacy.
Still trying to convince people that he's a legitimate boxer. He's not a legitimate boxer. You've picked someone who was a professional boxer, whose dad was a legend of professional boxing. You might as well pick...
Possible fight between Anthony Joshua and Jake Paul shows the struggle boxing faces. Today, the pull between real sporting competition and big money entertainment. For Joshua, it is a chance to earn a huge payday and return to global attention after setbacks. For Paul, it is the biggest gamble of his career, a chance to prove he can face a true elite opponent or reveal the limits of his fame-based boxing journey.
Jake Paul, you've lost your mind if you think you can go toe-to-toe with Anthony Joshua. Listen, let's not get confused, guys. Let's not get confused. Yes, cool. Anthony, he took a big L with Daniel Dubois, but Daniel Dubois is not no joke, bro. He's not a joke. You know what I'm trying to say? He took an L there, but Jake Paul, I got the utmost respect of what he's done, how he's managed to navigate through the boxing world. Like, bro, it's so mad. And I can see this is like a 90%. It's happening, it's positioning, it's marketing already. Like, why would you see Jake Paul go face-to-face with Alexander Usyk if it's not to position for a fight for Saudi? Obviously, Jake Paul's going to fight Anthony Joshua. There's possibly going to be a Usyk against Tyson Fury 3, because obviously the last two were so close. But you never know. It can also be a Usyk against Derek Chisora